everybody, and welcome back to Root Work with Shamina. Today, we are going to be talking about the throat chakra. This is the next chakra in our series of chakra and relationships, and I am really excited about this chakra. This is my strongest element. This is my strongest chakra. It is connected directly to my spiritual gifts and purpose in this world. And so I'm really excited to talk about it because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about it that we can really get through today. And so I'm hoping to get a lot of information in this one video. The throat chakra is, of course, governed by the throat. It is responsible for our creativity, our self-expression, communication one to the other. And you can kind of see why it is so important to our purpose in this life. Because if you can't communicate your thoughts, if you can't effectively communicate with others, then it's going to be really hard for you to execute your purpose in life. If that purpose is about affecting change in others, which most people have a purpose that is connected to the benefit or the help of others. Excuse me. So the throat chakra, see, it's already getting going. The throat chakra is responsible for that. And so it is also governed by the element of air. So if we have any air signs out there, which are my Aquarius, Libras, and Geminis, this is the energy that governs you. But a lot of the time we fail to realize, we think that because this element governs us, that it's an element that is our strongest. That because it is our home element, that it is an element that we are the strongest in. And a lot of the times you'll notice that air signs do have the right words when they choose to say something, when they choose to live in the truth, when they choose to have the courage to speak up. But many times it is a strength, and it's also very much a weakness. And so I just want to take a minute to talk about that weakness, because I don't think people really talk about it. And many of our air signs out there believe that follow the elements, that follow this, understand that, oh, I'm a good communicator. And they live in the shadows of that stigma. However, the truth of the matter is that many air signs, Aquarius, Libras, and Gemini, struggle with the ability to express themselves. They struggle with the ability to express their truths and to own their actions and express being vulnerable. That is something that is not very comfortable for them. So oftentimes your home element, your element in which you were born under, the sign, the zodiac sign, the way the energy flows through you and past you and from you, is dramatically connected also to your largest adversity in life. It is what you're going to have to overcome. For me, my home energy was in the heart chakra. However, love and relationship and matters of family in the heart have been my greatest areas of struggle. I have had to learn how to govern my heart, how to protect my heart, how to give it, and how to take it back. And so it's not an easy thing when you are born under an element. You're not just automatically given a pass of a full access pass in which you know how to operate fully within that element. That's not the case. It is often the times where your biggest lessons in life will come through that element. And so for many of our air signs, it is a struggle. If you're in a relationship with them, you will notice that they will struggle with being able to speak their truth. With our Aquariuses, it's about being vulnerable and not feeling judged. It's about being open to hearing the harsh truths and accepting them and not letting them subtract from you and make you feel less than, but taking this criticism, for lack of better words, taking this information that people are giving you about yourself and using it to perfect yourself, keeping the meat and throwing away the bones. I say that all the time because sometimes, people's criticism and people's perception of you is tainted by their human sides. Could be jealousy, could be just that they're in a bad mood, their energy is off, they're not vibrating at their highest level, at their highest frequency. So some of their messages are tainted with little bits of humanness that we can't take in. We shouldn't take it in all the time. So you need to separate the meat, which is the stuff that they're saying that is actually meant for you to hear, and the bones, which is the things that are broken, and the pieces that are broken within them that get lost in their message. And so once you are able to do that, people under the sign of Aquarius are able to accept life so much more easier, not take it so personal as a personal attack on their person, and grow from the visions and the experiences that others have of you. Our Libras are our peacemakers. They are people who want to save the world. They run from conflict at all costs, even at their own expense. So many of Libras struggle while they're so articulate and they're able to step into any situation and kind of mellow it down. They know exactly what to say to make you feel good about yourself. They know how to tame fires with their throat chakra, with the power of their element. However, they are also very much encaged by that power because they don't give themselves permission to say their personal truths in fear of conflict, in fear of hurting someone else. And so they'll hold in their personal truths in fear of not being perfect, not being peaceful, because sometimes change is not peaceful. Elevation is not peaceful. Blessings and growing in this thing called spirit and the spiritual world, and in this life, expanding yourself past the average level and really transcending to a higher level requires challenge. And that challenge is uncomfortable. And sometimes that challenge comes with war. And sometimes that challenge comes through conflict. And it comes through telling people the hard truths that may hurt them on the exterior. But on the interior, it gives them a gift. And I think that is something, if I had to say anything to my Libra babies out there, it is to change the way to work on accepting and perhaps to work on the perception or the possibility that challenge is not connected to trouble, that conflict is not bad, and that truth is not always happy. And you deserve the opportunity to share your truths with people you love, and they deserve to hear it, because for as long as you guard it in your belly, believing that you are saving them from some sort of hardship and pain and conflict and trouble, you are robbing them of what you're supposed to let them hear so that they can grow. And then our babies, our Geminis out there, who I believe struggle with their gift and their element the most, in the sense that they have a false sense of security in their throat chakra. They believe that it is their strongest element, which it is. Many Libras in conversation, they are public speakers. They are people who have a lot to say. The point of the matter is that, will they choose to say it? Will they choose to release it? And when they do choose to release it, you can't just release part of the testimony. You got to release it all. Their fear of being liked and loved their fear of not being liked and loved, their fear of not being accepted, their fear of being seen as imperfect sometimes gets in their way, and they are not able to accept their truths and to speak it. The ugly, the good, and indifferent. Sometimes the only truths that they'll be willing to share are truths that they're able to hear themselves. So, the things that we speak, we're the first to hear. The ugly, the harsh, the indifferent, we're the first to feel it. And I think they don't like to feel, it feels as if they don't like to feel the negativity because they have such good intentions, because they really do care about what people think of them. They care about being accepted and being good. That when these negative things, these negative truths begin to stir up within them, it is hard to then become an open book and express those, because they don't deal with rejection from others well. And one thing about this throat chakra is that it's not just about when you open your mouth, you know how to say something with sugar on top of it. That's not the case. The thing with the throat chakra is that you know how to open your mouth, and even when you're saying something that is pins and needles, when you have to say the hard things, people listen. When you open your mouth, your voice and your spirit that is released through your voice has power, and it draws people in. It gets their ear, even to your worst enemy. You have the ability to invoke their ears, their spiritual ears to hear you. And so it's a really big commitment. It's a really big responsibility when you have the gift of the throat chakra, because you have the hard job of telling people things that they may have never heard in their lives about themselves. You have the hard job of saying to people things that go against the norm that they have conditioned themselves to believe, the norms that they have gotten comfortable in, those norms that they use to define themselves. Many times when you are operating at a higher level within the throat chakra, you are called to say those things that challenges people's person. And in that, you are often looked at as mean, harsh. But what I will say from someone who operates in my throat chakra as part of my gift in this world is that even when it's harsh, you are never seen as the true enemy once people come down from their initial shock of hearing the truth. Once people come down from their initial, oh, I can't believe you said that about me or to me, or you're lying. And once they come down from their defense mechanisms, and even if it's just in their private time, they recognize and they value what you say. And so there's a huge responsibility for you not to use your throat chakra as a weapon when you are called to vibrate as a light worker or as a higher vibrational individual. You've worked to get there, and your throat chakra is connected to your role in this, in this life. It's connected to your purpose. You have a responsibility to keep it in check. And that is something that requires day to day you to check yourself before you wreck yourself. It requires you to sometimes know when to say, how to say, and when not to say, when to be silent. That is also a huge part of the throat chakra, is that there is a time of silence. But for many of the air signs that I spoke about, you can't live in the silence. You can't rest there out of fear. You must be bold. The throat chakra is bold. It is unstoppable, but it crushes and breaks through barriers in people that some people need to be broken, because they're waiting for this release and they can't say it themselves. And you are an ambassador of the spirit, because you can be used to interpret what comes to us through spirit. You can interpret it. So it is the spiritual and the divinely anointed interpreter that is so necessary in this world, especially since spirit is trying to say so much to us. Our ancestors are constantly trying to say so much to us, and they want us to know these mysteries so that we can get through this life, abundantly and effectively. So the interpreter of the throat chakra is a huge job. And so I just wanted to take a minute to really talk about that, because I think that is essential. When it is blocked, you are fearful of judgment. You are scared of your truth. You avoid being direct. You often will use sarcasm. So if you're in a relationship with someone whose throat chakra is blocked, you'll notice that they kind of talk around you, and you feel like after the conversation, you feel like, man, we said a lot, but I still didn't get an answer. They are masters of manipulating the throat, manipulating communication. And that comes from a fear of being caught, in a sense, of feeling like I'm going to be exposed. You found me out. I'm not perfect. I don't want the stigma of being connected to drama and something bad. And we are all, at some point in our lives, all of us have connected ourselves to something that is unpleasing, something that is related to drama, something that is chaotic and challenging and crazy. And the whole point of this game is whether you stay there and continue to live like that, or you learn, straighten yourself up and fly right, and learn how to take those lessons to become the person that you want to be. So, I think in this new season, with this new year, I'm so pushed to have said that message in the beginning to my air signs, because I think there's a time of release coming, And we need more spiritual interpreters. And it's time for you to be okay with being imperfect. It's time for you to be okay with conflicts, because there is a such thing as good conflict, good trouble to get into. And to my Libra babies and Geminis and Aquariuses, be okay with being imperfect. Be okay with starting good trouble, and own your imperfections. No matter how dirty, how ugly they are, there's somebody who feels just as ugly, just as dirty, just as grimy as you may feel in the moment, and they're waiting to hear your voice as an ambassador of the throat chakra. If you are called to do that, you'll feel it in your belly, you'll know it. They're waiting for you to share your truth so that they realize that it's not just them, that you can recover from a blemish, that you can recover from a fall. And so that's something that I hope you guys take into consideration as you go into this next level. Thank you. In a relationship, there are many ways to communicate. We communicate through the words we speak. We communicate through the unspoken, through our actions, through our vibrations. And I think many times when we talk about communication and relationships, we often rush towards the known, the expected, which is what we say. But there are tons of ways that you send your partner and the people you love in your world messages. You send them messages through your body movements, through facial expressions, and greater than anything else, you send them messages through your vibration. And so when you are not vibrating at your highest self, when you are not vibrating at a place of peace, when you are filled with anger and anxiety or love and passion and distraction, all of these things come with a vibration. And as you vibrate on that level, you are sending direct messages to your partner. So when we talk about the throat chakra and relationship, I want everyone watching this to really understand that communication comes in different forms. And although you may say the right thing, I'm feeling like there are some people who may be watching this video and say, oh, I say all the right things. I say the right things. I've expressed to my partner, I've expressed to my family, and I'm still misunderstood. Then I would say to you, you need to check your vibration. You need to check your energy, because the words will speak out of habit. See, when you're good with the throat chakra, you might be able to speak and say the right things, but your energy will always tell the truth. It will always tell on you. Your energy will tell that there's something deeper. Your energy will tell that everything you say is not necessarily what is. And so the truth seeker is that energy, is that vibration that people feel when you are speaking one thing and radiating to them another thing through your energy level. So I would challenge you to get connected to what you say and what you feel, and really begin to touch on that truth, because more than likely you're being misinterpreted because the two are not in agreement. What you say, your body language, and your energy frequency is not on the same level. If you are in a relationship and you have a strong throat chakra, and you are with someone whose throat chakra is blocked or not as strong as yours, this is one of these things where, it gets perfected through practice. And so you have to buckle up and brace yourself for some dysfunctional communication as well as some functional communication, because it's one of those things where if you don't, you'll lose it if you don't use it. So if you're not invoking conversation in a relationship, it will go away. It will never grow. And it's about doing it. So you may have to be the person in your relationship to prong and promote some really serious conversations that may result in some, again, bad trouble, some conflict, some anger, some resistance. But what it will do is it will push and it will usher your partner into a place where they must communicate, where they'll feel so bottled up, so misunderstood, that they must begin to communicate what's really being built up, what's really going on the inside. So it is, again, one of these things where you have to be invested in this partner. You have to be invested in your relationship, because it is going to take patience. Why? Because for people who do not have a strong throat chakra, it ain't always going to come out right. What they need to say is not always going to come across clear, and it may come across really ugly at times. And so you need to know whether or not this is something that you even want to be bothered with, because it is going to take you eating, you're going to have to take a lot of shit with it. You're going to have to hear a lot of nonsense. You're going to have to be able to let it roll off you like rain at some times, because this person is working through building this chakra. But in no way am I saying that you should ever be verbally abused or treated less than. It's just knowing when and how much to endure, when you should be, after a while, you should start to see that the person is improving. You should start to see that as you guys go through your tit for tats, as you invoke and push them to communicate more, that you should be seeing things improve along the way. Maybe sometimes you can be like, oh, wow, they said something to you and addressed the situation before you had to. These are little subliminal signs that you can look for to know that you have been working with your partner through something and they are improving. If they are not improving, then you need to do some soul searching, and you need to realize that one thing that can happen in a relationship when dealing with someone with a blocked throat chakra is that it can have the opposite effect. Just the same way as we can speak life, we can wind up speaking destruction to our partners. And unwillingly and unknowingly, your partner can tear you down, and they can begin to chip away and eat away at your spiritual energy. And you don't want that. So you must guard yourself, but at the same time, know when is a time to teach. And there's a time, to guard yourself. And so that's something that we all need to keep in mind. In order to improve your throat chakra, there's so many things that you can do. A lot of it is meditation, but not silent meditation. Meditation in which you need to just go to a private place, go to a quiet place, a park, inside your car, away from people, where you can kind of build your confidence and speak your truth out in the open. Release it, give it sound. Everything's about giving it sound. Even if you're crying, there's so much that is released when we wail and cry out and give our emotions sound. And so with everything that you do, give it some sound. Do not hold it into your quiet place and try to be silent into yourself. That's the worst thing you can do when trying to rebuild your throat chakra, is keep it to yourself. This is not a one-man job. This is by far one of the chakras that is needed. That relationship is needed in order to heal it. You need to commune with others. You need to put yourself around talkers. You need to put yourself around people who are expressive emotionally. You need to submerge yourself in the conversations that are uncomfortable to you, because that is the only way that you can unlock the throat chakra, and you can realize that you're not in this alone. Everybody has bad things that they need to say. Everybody has an ugly side they have to express, and you're not in a world where you would be alone in that. But you do have to be comfortable with speaking your shadow side. That's a part of doing the shadow work. Shadow work is taking an inventory of yourself and being okay with opening your mouth and just admitting it. You'd be surprised how many people are delivered, set free, how many bad, relationships can be mended by just telling the truth. This is what I was thinking when I hurt you. This is where I was at when I treated you like this, and I'm no longer there anymore. But instead, what we do is we dance around it, and we try to make it sound pretty, and we try to make it sound like, because nobody wants to be the bad guy. And truth of the matter is that no one is set free by that. Because your energy and your actions have already shown something. Your words need to match up with the truths of the experiences that you put yourself through, the experiences that others have put you through, and the experiences that you have put others through. And so you have to own it. You have to own it. In my life, because this is my strongest chakra, I've always been in a position where I've had to say the ugly, and I've had to say the things that most people would run away from. I'd had to talk to adults as a child as if they were adults. I've had to tell people about themselves. I've had to talk to people's mothers a certain type of way, talk to my sister a certain type of way, talk to brothers and family. And I was always put in a position that is the bad guy. You gotta be the bearer, what they call it, the bearer of bad news. Growing up poor, growing up without, I was always put in the forefront of people having to say bad things about us, talk down to us, and I had to rebut that. So my throat chakra has been worked on since I was young, not out of choice, but because I had no choice. Was because there was a burning inside of me that said, this is not right, and I must say something. And so if that's you and you are denying yourself the truth, again, get comfortable with good trouble, because there's deliverance in good trouble. There is freedom, just to be free to say, I messed up. I messed up. I was wrong. I was selfish. I was in love. I was in lust. I was, the monster, or I was the heroine. I was the person, I was just trying to help. Be honest. And with the new year approaching, I know many people are going through their own situations now where they're taking inventory of relationships and family struggles. Be honest. Be honest. Tell your truth. You know, for me in the spirit world, my form of a new year began around Halloween, Hallows Eve. That's when the tides turned in terms of the spirit world, and the veil got thinner, and our ancestors got closer to us, and the world begins to turn into this new phase of life around that fall time. But that energy is still very much present right now. And if that's you, I would challenge you to have your conversations. Be honest with yourself and free yourself, rid yourself, shake yourself free from trying to be perfect, because you're in a world of a bunch of imperfect people just trying to be happy. And the more you hold back, the less you're doing for the people in your world who are waiting and need to hear what you have to say. We all have something to say. And so free yourself up, do your due diligence in this world, and share your truth so that somebody else can learn, so that somebody else doesn't have to be fearful with expressing their truths. And stand strong. Stand strong in who you are. Accept your shadow side and accept your light. It is a part of you and it's needed. We can't have a bunch of folks here walking around shining their light every day. We wouldn't even know what it was without the shadows. So our dirt, our grime, our, ugly is a part of us, and it's necessary sometimes. It's just learning when and where. So I hope something that I said today was helpful in your relationship with someone, but it really is about interacting at any point, at any level. The hardest relationship to be in is one where a person refuses to speak to you, because that means that they are refusing to grow. They are refusing to allow you to grow. And in that relationship, there is no relationship. So you can do the math yourself. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope something I said was a blessing to you. And until next time.